Hello and welcome. I am Megan Chappa, host of Travel Radio Podcast, and this is a video edition. You are in my new house in Virginia, and this is what the office currently looks like. It may change, but not the purpose. The purpose is to introduce and welcome you to an episode featuring Oberammergau, which we've done a previous episode on a religious pilgrimage to Oberammergau, but we've not actually gotten to go in depth about what the play is like. And unfortunately, this year, Oberammergau is part of the lost year, as I'm calling 2020, and that it is just, one of the things that had to be, unfortunately, delayed, which is, we'll get into the reason we'll get into all the details later, but I would like to introduce now my guest, Frederik Mayet. Frederick, welcome to the program.
Hello, thank you for having me on your program.
Yes, Frederick, as you can see under your title, you are one of two actors that portrays Jesus Christ. So we're going to get into everything a little bit more. We'll get into the history and all that. But right now, just so people can see you in action, I have a Google search pulled up, which is pictures of you and some of your counterparts in the Passion play. And some of these, there's some really powerful stuff being portrayed here. How do you feel when you see yourself, portrayed like they're acting and surrounded by all these people in these very detailed costumes and powerful scenes? Like, what's it like to see yourself like this?
It's funny to see this Google research because it's there's one picture of our beautiful village here in Oberammergau. So we're located in the south of Germany, at 1 hour south of Munich, and then there's a picture with my counterpart Rochus Rückel. He's also playing Jesus, and that's the day when we were elected to play Jesus. And then there's a picture with me together with our Chancellor Angela Merkel.
Yes,
it was 10 years ago. She came to see the Passion play. That was also a very special moment. Having lunch together with her, and then there's a picture with me with the director of the play. Last year, 1.5 years ago, we've been to the USA, and we promoted the Passion play, and we've been to San Francisco, and of course we're standing in front of the cable car in San Francisco. I have good memories of this trip. It's really amazing. And of course the Passion play 10 years ago, and this brings back really good memories, of course. It was a very special year 10 years ago, and we hope to have the Passion play this year. And of course,
COVID strikes again. So if we move from the cable car picture to the right, I want to draw people's attention to these big vessels, these throne pots. At one point during the play, just to start us off with a story and a bang, at one point in the play, you get to smash those. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. That's one of the first scenes in the Passion play. So in the first scene, Jesus enters in Jerusalem, and in the following scene, Jesus goes to the temple, and he throws out the merchants out of the temple. And so I take the pot and throw it on earth, and I give this house back. It's a house of prayer, and it's not a house for doing business. And so that's a very impressive scene, and I really like this scene because it's a very strong scene, and that's also a scene when Jesus somehow he also has a kind of holy anger, and you sometimes you always have the feeling Jesus is very mild and very peaceful, but we had the feeling that he also have sometimes, if he has the feeling that something is wrong, that he also can be strong and powerful, and also be angry about situations. And that was, for me, it was a very special scene.
I've gotten, in reading that passage, I totally get that, and I think this is the human qualities that we need to. That you get both, right? You get both the human and God qualities right there. Like, we are complicated people. We get angry, and also there. We won't get into Christianity too much right now. But when you first thought about smashing one of those, did you think, I really hope I smash it? Do they pre-cut them, or do you really just have to let it go?
No, I know the family quite well. They produce the pots here in Oberammergau, and the lady, she produced it, and she was so happy because she says, "Oh, this is something. So I have to produce like 120 pots, and also for the rehearsals, and so I have a connection to those, and I always had the feeling, so they just produce it for 1 minute." But there's a nice story about those pots, because the merchants in the play, they take the pieces of it, and then they put the pieces together with glue, and afterwards every of the actors signs on those, and then they are sold for how you say, benefit, or for
a charity auction or something.
Charity, yeah. So there's a good thing about those pots, and
oh man,
people buy it, and a lot of people here in Oberammergau have those pots in their house.
That's special. I think that's wonderful. That's really wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, then, can we? I'm just going to quick flip through some pictures, and maybe you could tell us where they are in the town or in the area, because I mean, besides the play, there's really quite striking natural beauty in the area that people could spend, not just a day at the play. You could really explore the area extensively for a long time. And so I just want to go through it, and maybe you could call out where the places are or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
There you are again.
Yeah. So that's the nearby village. That's the Monastery in Ettal. It's just a few kilometers away from Oberammergau, and it's beautifully located here in this region. And the whole area, we are the youngest nature park here in Germany, and so we are pretty close to the Austrian border. We are in the Bavarian Alps, and you have a lot of things you can do here throughout the year. In summertime, it's lovely. We have really not a lot industry here in this area, but we live from tourism. We have wonderful mountains. You can go climbing, you can go biking, you can go rafting. So there's a lot of things to do, actually. And of course, it's everything people think about in Germany you find here. So sometimes you have the beer festivals in summertime also. You have really good places where you find the typical Bavarian food. And here you see the village of Oberammergau. On the left side, there's
I'll go back there.
No problem. There's also a small skiing resort in the winter time. So right now we have the first snow, and it's also very lovely here in the winter time also. So
I think this is the kind of vacation we're all looking for now, in the sense that we are all online all of the time, and the goal is to unplug and connect with people. And so someday we'll all be able to do that. But it seems like you can both have some space, do some time in nature, and then hopefully come see the play. So this sounds like a good option. Also, can people visit the monastery? Sorry.
Of course, it's open, and it's really nice. They have a own brewery, and they produce their own liquor also, and so it's really nice to go there. So of course, in the monastery, it's also a school inside there.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
All right.
So you can go there, and you can drink their own beer, and it's really a good place to go.
All right.
Here, that's the Catholic church in Oberammergau. So I married there in this church, my wife, and our two kids got baptized there. Yeah, so I have really good connections on the right side. That's very typical here for our village. We have the paintings on the houses.
Oh yeah, we'll get that. Yeah, let me see if I get another
German,
picture.
It's called Lüftelmalerei. And so Oberammergau is famous for three things. So it's the Passion play, it's the paintings on the houses, and the third thing is the wood carving. So we have a really long wood carving tradition in Oberammergau. So even my great great grandfather came here to Oberammergau as a wood carving teacher to the wood carving school, and my father is a wood carver, and so it's a very artistic village because we do a lot of theater here. We have the wood carving traditions, we have the paintings, we have in Oberammergau the inhabitants love acting, they love the music. So we have like 3 or 4 choirs. We have an orchestra. So we have a really lively cultural life here in this small village. So Oberammergau has about, I think, right now 5,400 inhabitants.
Yes.
It's a really nice place to live. And if you want to go to a big city, you can go to Munich. So you're in Munich in 1 hour.
This is
so
great.
I think we're perfectly located here.
So all year round, you can come for culture. And I mean, okay, so we haven't gotten into Oberammergau, the Passion Play is happening every 10 years, but you don't need to wait. You could go to experience quite a lot of things in between the Passion Plays.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, so here we have music and we've got some wood carving.
Here, that's a really nice restaurant here. Yeah. So there you find typical Bavarian food, and that's and also nearby we have, perhaps you have heard about King Ludwig.
Yes.
The fairy tale King Ludwig II. He built like the fairy tale castle in Neuschwanstein or Linderhof. So those castles, the Linderhof is just 15 minutes away, and the Neuschwanstein, sometimes it's called the Cinderella Castle because Disney copied it. It's just half an hour away. So a lot of things people think of in Germany, you'll find in our region. So it's really must go for.
So do you guys actually, sorry, I'm just going to scroll through some of these pictures so we can get to our questions. Is this right near you?
That's, I think it's in Unterammergau. No, that's on the Kofel. That's our, that's in Oberammergau. When I look out of my window, I see this cross on the mountain. The Kofel is like the home mountain of our village. Yeah.
Okay. Can you hike there?
Yeah, easy.
Oh.
So just the last meters are a little bit difficult, but if you're used to hiking, it's no problem. It really looks steep from the village, but you go from the back on this mountain, and it takes you, if you're a good hiker, it takes you, I think, 45-50 minutes. And it's a really nice walk. I often go there.
Okay, well then, where is this one?
That's the Castle Linderhof. That's just, as I told you, 15 minutes away from Oberammergau. And it's a beautiful park and located in this, in beautiful nature. There's almost only this castle, and the fairy tale King Ludwig, he built it there, and it's really small but amazing. And,
so do you guys call him the fairy tale king, or do you call him like Crazy King Ludwig?
We call him Märchenkönig, that means fairy tale king, and he's people in Bavaria admire him because he was a king. He loved the art. He loved arts, and he was like he didn't like to go to war, and he was more into opera, and he built castles. And people thought 150 years ago that he's crazy because he spends all his money, and the state was bankrupt almost. But today everyone is really proud that we have those wonderful buildings.
Because that's how the story comes across. This guy was, I don't know exactly, like he ran out of money, and his people may have been starving, but he had these beautiful, like, 3 rooms in his castle. Whatever. I was just wondering how that went. Okay, I just have a few more pictures that will get us into our questions, because now we're going to get to some pictures of the actual stage. And many villagers on the stage.
So you can see it here. So this was during the rehearsal time. So no one is actually in the costumes. We usually start our rehearsals for the Passion Play half a year before. So we started this time in end of November, I think. And so in the first weeks, we're just in a small room or in a small theater. And then in January we go out on the open air stage. And you can imagine here being on stage in January, February is quite cold.
Chilly.
And a lot of people here, they're in their ski jackets, and they have hats on. And usually we start the rehearsals in our actual costumes in March. And
let's see if we can get some of that.
Yeah. So, and what is special about the Passion Play Theater? So it's one of the largest open air stages where the auditorium is undercover. So actually the stage is open and we play under the sky. And but the visitors they have it more comfortable.
Yes.
And so there's space for around about 4,500 guests in our theater. And it's a very special building. You can see behind the theater there are the mountains also. And and that's here. This one of the first scene of the Passion Plays. It's
let me bring these up because I don't think these. I don't think that these living pictures get quite the press that maybe they should, because they're really quite impressive. So can you talk to us about this, and then what are you doing while this is happening?
So that's a very special theater form. Actually, it was invented, as you can invent, in the Baroque time. So it's an old mean in theater, and so all the scenes in the Passion Play. So we start. The first scene is when Jesus enters in Jerusalem, but the picture before is out of the so-called Old Testament. So, and the whole play is I think we have 14 playing scenes, and between every scene is a picture out of the Old Testament, and it connects the story of Jesus Christ with the Old Testament. So that's here the picture of Passover. It's right before the scene of the Last Supper. So it is connected, and to these pictures we have a choir singing to the picture and singing about what is happening in the play. So also in the Passion Play, I don't know if you have heard about. Music is very important. So 1/3 of the Passion Play is also music.
Okay, and, I didn't realize.
It's a very, very beautiful music.
Well then, so let me then ask you some questions so people can understand more about this Passion Play, because it is uniquely situated in the world. It's the only one like this. So let us get into that a little bit, if you don't mind, and then we'll ask you some more personal questions towards the end once we warm you up a little bit. So, all right. So now for people who aren't familiar with the play, can you give us some historical context to how this Passion Play began?
Yeah. Our Passion Play is almost 400 years old. So it all started in 1632. It was during the 30 Years' War. And the Swedish troops came to our region. And for a pretty long time, our village wasn't involved in the war and wasn't involved with the Black Plague. But the Swedish troops brought the Black Plague into the region. And the villagers of Oberammergau, they kept all the people out. They made fires around the village. But there was one man, Kaspar Schisler, he was working in a neighbor village. And he wanted to see his family, so he sneaked over the mountains into the village, and he brought the Black Plague with him. And so within a few days, we don't know it exactly, but we assume that 1/3 of the population died, and no one knew what was happening. The people thought it's a punishment by God, so no one knew anything about diseases really. And so the villagers made a vow: if God takes the disease away, we will play the last days of Jesus Christ every 10 years. And so the chronicle says that from this day, no one died anymore. And so the first Passion Play was held in the year 1634. And from this day on, every 10 years, Oberammergau played the Passion Play. And so until today, we only did not play in 2 years. It was in 1770. There, all Passion Plays were forbidden. And the last time in 1940, during the Second World War, we didn't play. And for 100 years ago, it also was postponed. So that happened also. It was, but for a pretty long time, the Passion Play was a very local Passion Play. But then in 1850, there were the first reviews about the Passion Play in English newspapers, in French newspapers, and it became more and more popular. And so in 1880, an Englishman came to Oberammergau. Some know him. It's Thomas Cook, the inventor of modern tourism. He saw the play and he was really amazed about it. And so for the next Passion Play 10 years later, he brought the first English groups to Oberammergau. And so he made it very popular. And today we would say he did a lot of marketing. He brought, for example, members of the Royal Court in London to Oberammergau. And so more and more famous people of those days came to see the play. For example, the Queen of Spain came, and in 1910, Henry Ford, the car guy from the US. And so it became more and more popular, and more people from overseas came. And so today the Passion Play is in Oberammergau is it's the biggest and the most famous Passion Play in the world, and we have around about 500,000 visitors from all over the world. And we are, of course, it's a long tradition, and we are really proud of being part of this tradition and doing this play every 10 years.
It's kind of mind-blowing to me that people would say, what is it that we could give to God that would stifle the plague? And that the Passion Play would be the thing that they thought, this is the thing. It's incredible. I think it just kind of speaks maybe to and I don't know, I guess I should ask you, is there still deeply tied religious roots in the community?
So we are, Oberammergau it was for a really long time a very Catholic village. So we were pretty close. You saw the pictures of the monastery before. And of course, Oberammergau also changed in the last decades, hundreds of years. So we have, of course, now Protestants living in Oberammergau, but also, of course, people, they're not in church anymore. We have some families, they're from Turkey, they're Muslims. And but of course, for us, it's the community coming together doing this play. And for some, it's very important, and they're strong believers, and others, they are also part of the play. They perhaps have left the church, but they are interested in acting and in coming together as a community. And so 20 years ago, the community of Oberammergau said, because we have some rules in the play, so you have to be born in Oberammergau, that you're allowed to take part, or you live here for 20 years. And so the community said, so everyone who fulfills those points they are allowed to take part in the Passion Play. So now we have the first Turkish families participating, and they're also part of the community. I always think it's important that religion is something that brings people together, and they're also proud of being a part of this production. And so one of our tutors is Cengiz. He's a young Turkish, in the 4th generation Turkish guy. He's a good actor. He's now in an acting school in Munich, and he's one of our best actors, and he's really proud of being a part of the Passion Play.
That's great. So then, so we've covered some of my questions already, but let me ask you now, since it's been delayed, When is the next time you will be performing the play?
Hopefully in 2022. So,
Mm-hmm.
in March of this year, we were interrupted during the rehearsals. We are just 8 weeks before the opening night,
Mm-hmm.
and then we were a little bit nervous in the last days. But then the administration came and said, "So we have to stop the rehearsals." And then we said, "Oh, yeah, what do we do?" And we said we will postpone it for 2 years because we have a lot of visitors from all over the world. And we said to be safe, we skip it to 2022, and the opening night will be mid of May in 2022, and we will start our rehearsals in January 2022. And yeah, I'm really looking forward because it's, yeah, you can imagine in Oberammergau we have 5,400 inhabitants, and half of the population is participating in the play.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, we were growing together as a community. We were on stage. You saw it in the picture before. There were hundreds of persons on stage, and it was a really nice thing. So the youngest were just 5, 6 years old, and the oldest were almost 100 years old, and that's a very special thing for us. And everyone is really so deeply connected with the play and involved. And you can imagine how it was for the older ones. They said,
Yes.
"Oh, I hope I can be a part in 2 years. I don't know if I still can make it." And
Oh my gosh.
so yeah, and so that was something very, yeah, a very tough decision. And so I'm really looking forward to the rehearsals again, that we can get together as a community again, that we can bring the play on stage, and that we can fulfill the vow our ancestors made almost 400 years ago. And for us, it's yeah, you can imagine everyone is really dedicated to this production.
So all the actors keep their same roles.
Yeah. Yeah, this is what the director Christian Stückel said, that we skip it, that we postpone it for 2 years, and everyone keeps the role. But of course, perhaps some people say for them it's perhaps not possible. But so then the director has to change the cast. But the first decision is everyone keeps the position, and we will do the same play 2 years later.
Okay.
And this was also for us. It was really good to have a goal again, because in March everyone was really confused, and everything was or still is difficult. But we have a goal again, so we can look forward to 2022, and we have a goal, and I'm really optimistic that we do our play.
Yeah. Well, I was in England when all of the lockdowns started happening across Europe, and I instantly thought about the play. I thought, oh, those poor people, and the people who, because this is something you have to kind of plan to attend a long way out, because tickets sell out and you have to get accommodation, and it's a Bavarian village, right? There's not mega hotels. You have to do all these sort of things, and sometimes maybe this is the kind of thing you go through a travel agent or tour operator for, because they have all those established plans already. So I was just, I was really kind of like, oh no, what are they going to do? And that's when we first got in touch. And I'm glad we're now talking about this. And specifically, how will you be addressing tickets for 2022?
Of course, we have a lot of partners and tour operators all over the world. So all the, I think, big companies, for example, in the US or in the UK, they have tickets. But of course, you can, some don't want to book a tour. They can also see on our website, and that is something where we can see the play.
So I guess, sorry, let me change my question a little bit. How will it, so I'm assuming that you will honor the people's tickets who had them already first before there are new tickets available, because you can't just manufacture another round of seats, right?
Yeah. So I hope I understand the question correctly.
People
but
that have tickets currently,
changed. Yeah,
they
changed
get first
it
priority.
Yeah,
okay.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay.
But a lot of people, they changed their tickets from 2020 to 2022. That was something a lot of people did. So when the when we postponed the play in March, we were sold by 95%.
Oh, wow.
And so we were quite full. And I think now we're, some people, they gave their tickets back, but we're really on a good way, and there's still a lot of tickets available.
Okay, good, because I want my husband and I to be some of those 2022ers.
Oh, perfect.
That'd
That's
be
good.
wonderful. So then, for people that don't know, the Passion Play in Oberammergau is exclusively in the German language. People that don't speak German, are they going to be able to understand what's happening?
Yeah. So everyone who visits the Passion Play gets a textbook in German and English, and so you can follow the lines. And most of the people, of course, who come to see the play, they know the story quite well. And 10 years ago, I talked to a lot of people. They were only speaking English, and they say they really understand everything, and they read in the textbook, and so it really was not a problem to follow the scenes.
Okay, awesome. So if you're listening to the podcast audio only, this is where we're going to take a quick break. And now we're back. All right, if you're watching, then there was some humor there. But okay, so did I read correctly that you guys actually invested quite a bit of money as a community into the venue? Is that and making it even more friendly to people watching the play? So how has that changed for people that have been there in the past?
So, compared to the last Passion Play, so we didn't had a lot of complaints in the last Passion Play, but one complaint we always heard was that there's too less space between the seats, and this was something we changed. So there's a little bit more space for everyone in the theater, and of course, every 10 years you have to invest a lot into the theater. There are new safety regulations, and there's now before the Passion Play, we changed a lot for the visitors.
I mean, for most people, you'll have them sold at more knee space. Everybody wants knee room, right? We fight about it on airplanes. We fight about it in theaters. That's fine. That's great news. So then, how long is the play, like the duration of the actual play for 2022?
So the first part starts in the afternoon, and the first part takes about 2.5 hours. Then there is a 3-hour break, and the second part is in the evening. So overall, the play, so we don't know exactly, but around about 5 hours, 15 minutes. That's the duration of the play.
What do you do in that break? Are you taking a nap?
Sometimes, yes. Or I go to lunch, or I go to dinner. That also happened. For example, 10 years ago, the Cardinal of New York came to see the play, or like you saw in the picture before, Chancellor Merkel came to see the play, and then sometimes you go to lunch in the break, and that's also sometimes really, of course, nice, because during the Passion Play year, we have a lot of visitors, but sometimes I only take a nap. That's correct, or I do some sport or relax, whatever. Yeah.
That's good. So I was watching some recordings on YouTube with, I think, the current director, and it was translated, but he said that he, maybe as a child was asking his grandfather about what he thought he didn't know the word racism, or anti-Semitism, but he had been asking his grandfather about that. And when he took over as director, he put some time into maybe changing some of the undertones. Is that a fair way to put it? How has the play been refreshed compared to what it was?
That was, as Christian Stückli, he's a really dedicated theater maker. So he will do it the next time, the 4th time, and he was the youngest director ever when he was elected. And so this is something, after the Second World War, in the 50s and 60s, the Passion play had a lot of anti-Semitic stereotypes in the play, and the people after the Second World War, still they were not ready to change the play. So there were a lot of arguments about the play in the 70s and 80s, and people were fighting here, what is the correct way to show the Passion play? And you have to say that even the Catholic Church changed their theology, and they talked about their position with the people of the Jewish religion. And so Christian Strückel said, no, we want to show a Passion play that shows that it's not a play of Jews against Christians, as it was sometimes here before. And he said, we have to show that Jesus was born as a Jew, and that he died with a Jewish prayer on his lips on the cross, and that he was a Jew from tip to toe. And so he changed the play, but working with the text in the Gospels. But he shifted, of course, and he some sentences, and he talked up with theologians about and priests about the Passion play. And so we always have a theological advisor from the Catholic Church here in Oberammergau, and they revised the text. And that is something that is the tradition of Oberammergau, because sometimes people come and they think it's like a medieval play. We have the costumes we had 400 years ago, and we have the texts we had 400 years ago, but the tradition of Oberammergau always was and is to change the play and go with the time, and that you revise the text, that you have a new theater stage, that you have a new set design, that you have a new costume design. And Christian Strückel, he is someone who changed a lot, and he talked with, for example, with the American Jewish Committee and the Anti-Defamation League, but he also talks about with Catholic priests and Protestant priests about the play, and on how you can show Jesus today, and what is relevant about Jesus today.
This is really interesting consideration, and I imagine there's some responsibility on you as an actor. So has the script been the same for you both times? And
no.
Oh, okay. Because sorry, we didn't say this, but you've previously
I played.
Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I played Jesus also in 2010, and for me now it would have been the second time, so in 2 years hopefully. But Christian Strückel, he's a theater maker. He sees the text and he always thinks about what we can change. And so this is something we have in our Gospels. We have 4 Gospels, and so you can always look and perhaps see what you find and which sentences of Jesus you take into the text. So in Christian, he was really thinking about we would call it the social Jesus, what he was thinking, and you find a lot of sentences of Jesus where he talks about the poor and the rich, and about situations we also find today in our world, where we have a lot of poor and we have some very, very rich people. And so Christian Strückel, when he revised the text, he was more focusing on those things, and about conflicts we have also between
This is interesting. He presents a complex Jesus opening with like angry Jesus, and then we've got this compassionate person. This is interesting. It sounds like he's done a wonderful job. All right. So then let me ask you, because these are long segments in the play, what about refreshments? How can guests, keep their stamina to watch the whole play?
So I talk to a lot of people, and when they come and say, "Oh, a 5-hour play, and one part 2.5 hours, and the second part another 2.5 hours, and there's a break in between." But afterwards, when you talk to people, they say it was not boring 1 minute. So it's people really, if you sit there and if you try to get into the play, people don't have the feeling it's too long.
What
Actually,
about like
people,
refreshments on site, or food or drink?
not during the play though. You have to, yeah, of course you can bring a bottle of water, and that's not a problem, but it's not allowed to eat during the theater. But
This is
of
not a
course,
baseball game, people.
no, definitely no.
Okay. So then, if we keep going on the theme of dining in town, aside from your mother's house, where would you personally eat?
Oh, I have yeah, two restaurants or three restaurants where I regularly go. So it's one. It's yeah, it's right in between the middle of the village, Alte Post, where you really get good Bavarian food.
Hmm.
Then there's another pizza place, Wank Alm, where I really go very often there. Get the best pizza, of course. There's a bar where I sometimes go. It's a Mexican bar. We can get a good
Really?
beer and burger. Beer and burger, I also like.
Excellent.
So
Good
you
to know.
find, so we have a lot of restaurants here, and good restaurants where you can go.
Okay, good. And they're walkable from the theater.
In Oberammergau, almost everything is walkable. It's, I think, from one end to the other. So from the most of the restaurants are located in the center of the village.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So we've covered the question that guests are not allowed to eat in their seats. Okay. How are seats reserved? Is it just first come, first serve?
No, when you buy the ticket, you have a fixed seat. So it's so you book the first row or the uh,
Okay,
row 25, seat 50, whatever. So everyone knows when you buy the ticket where you sit.
perfect. Okay, so then we've talked about. So then the first. Hello, who's coming? Hello. All right, if you're just listening, we have
Florence,
a
who
munchkin.
just came into, that's
Well, you can stay. I'm okay with that. If you want to stay, maybe you can help us answer the questions. And I was going to ask your daddy what age he was when he first participated.
I was old. I was 20 when I was the first time in the Passion play. I played Disciple John, and yeah, because I was born here in Oberammergau, but my family moved away, so we moved back in the Passion play year 1990. But the Passion play was going on, and so I was not allowed to join anymore. But all my friends were in the Passion play. I saw the Passion play in 1990 only. I went there with my great grandmother, and then I was, and then I was,
Bye. Tschüss. Auf Wiedersehen. That's the limit of my German.
yeah, that's enough. Um,
He's adorable.
and yeah, he's 2 years old. And he will also join the Passion play the next time. So he will be on stage with his older brother. Yeah, and
Yeah.
so for me, I was the first time in the play in 2000 playing Disciple John, and I was pretty close to the both persons portraying Jesus, and I never thought of myself ever playing this role. So that was a big surprise in the year 2009 when I was selected for portraying Jesus.
So then let's talk about that process. How do they determine who's going to play which role? And as far as Jesus goes, is this like stiff competition, or is it intimidating?
So it's like in the year before the Passion Play, there's a certain date where everyone in the village fills out a form and gives it to the community of Oberammergau. And there you write in your name and when you were born and which roles you had in the previous Passion Plays. And then you give it to the community of Oberammergau. And the director of the Passion Play, Christian Stückel, he gets like 2,400 forms. And then he looks it through and he makes the cast. In the Passion Play, there are 1,850 grown-ups plus another 550 kids. And then he makes the cast. And with the main cast, so there are 21 main roles. You have, of course, Jesus, Mary Magdalene, Pilate, Judas, Caiaphas, all the big roles. With those 21 roles, we have a double cast. And with this cast, he goes to the city council, and they approve this cast. And the interesting thing is, you're not asked if you play this role. You just say, I want to participate in the play. So there's a certain date when the cast is published or announced in public. So it's in front of the Passion Play Theater. There are big boards in front of the theater where the names of the roles are on. So the first name is Jesus, then there is Peter, Judas, John, and all those 21 names, and then the last time, Elena, she also lives here in Oberammergau. She writes down the name of the main cast, and so the whole village is in front of the theater and looking on the boards and seeing, which one is playing the role, and then you can see people cheering and crying. And so then there was my name on the board in 2010 and another time now in 2020, and that's a very, very special moment because no one knows which role he will play. It's all in the head of Christian Stückel, the director, and it's not that you can say I want to play Judas or I want to play this role, and so that's something that just happens, and there's a lot of excitement in the area. You can imagine when the half of the village is looking and seeing what he will play.
That's incredible. I think that that's almost blasphemous to say, but it might be more fun to watch the revealing of the names than to watch the play. The last time we had some where we worked together with the German National Tourist Office, and they invited some US citizens working in the tourism industry to see this moment, and they were so excited being part of being there on this day. It's a special day, you can imagine. And so, because it's so important for every one of us, because it's only every 10 years, and you want to be in the play, and some hope to be back in a big role, and so some are not on the board anymore, and they're sometimes really sad, and some are so surprised that they are on the board, and it's very special. It's very special. So then, I've read that you do some special preparation to portray Jesus. Can you talk about what that's like?
Yeah, we do. So there's some things we do. One of the nicest things is with the main cast, we go a year before we start or a month before we start the rehearsals, we went to Israel with the main cast. And that is also very special when you visit all the holy sites in the Holy Land. When we went to Lake Galilee, or when you visit Jerusalem, and when you go through the streets, and you really get a feeling about what perhaps happened 2,000 years ago. And we talk with the local priests. They come with us, but you also meet rabbis in Jerusalem, and they tell you about Jesus out of the Jewish perspective, and that's such an amazing week, because you have 1 week we grow together as a community, of course, as the main actors, but of course you get a lot of impressions and ideas about what the story is about, and of course that is the most important thing in the preparation. Of course, you read in the Gospels. I read books about Jesus, and we also did some movie nights where we saw different movies about Jesus and the life of Jesus, and all together with the discussions we have during the rehearsals, you try to find the right way to portray Jesus, because that was one of the fears I had 10 years ago when I played Jesus the first time. because I told you about the election, and the day of the election, I was really a little bit, I felt so much pressure on my shoulder because I was going through the streets like this, because I said, everyone knows you from one day to the other, and everyone thinks, oh, here in the village, of course, oh, he's our new Jesus, and will he be good? And so there are a lot of pressure, and then I talked to the director, to Christian, and he said, no, you have to find your own way to bring this person alive on stage. And so you get a lot of input when you talk about the story, when you talk about, or when you go to Israel, when you talk to the priests, when you read in books, when you read in the Gospels. So it's a lot of.
Have you ever compared notes with other, not necessarily Oberammergau Jesuses, because I imagine they're within your reach and you've maybe seen their performances, but what about what's that Mel Gibson movie, The Passion of Christ, or any of the actors that have portrayed Christ in other performances? Have you ever gotten to pick their brains?
I didn't talk. I saw other Passion plays, and of course I saw the Mel Gibson movie, but I also watched Jesus Christ Superstar, and so it's everything you can get is good. So even old movies, Pasolini has a really nice movie. It's a 40 years old movie, and it's good to have a lot of impressions.
I think it would be interesting to have like a Jesus meetup where all the actors that we know that have portrayed could get together and talk about their experiences. That would be interesting. See what kind of picture of Christ we could get out of all those experiences. That'd be interesting. Hey, you could do it on Zoom.
Although, definitely.
Just a thought. So then, well, I'm assuming that you've now cut your hair because you guys also start to grow, but now, COVID hit and you just said...
True. In the first moment I said, I don't cut my hair. I don't want to. But then after 2 weeks I said, no, now it's time to cut it. And there's always a certain date when everyone has to let the hair grow. It's in the year before the Passion Play on Ash Wednesday. So the next time it will be mid of February. So everyone here in Oberammergau has to let the hair grow, and the men also the beards. And
what does your wife think about that?
I think she's fine with it. But that's nice. That's also nice for the kids, because also the boys let the hair grow. So if you then go to kindergarten or school, everyone has long hair, and you can't say, is it a boy or is it a girl? And so even it's a part of the Passion Play. You really grow into the role.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So then, let me ask you a couple questions that you can pass on if you'd like. So the first is, do you consider yourself to be a very spiritual person, either prior to or after, or, how do you approach this?
I think I've played Jesus 10 years ago, and definitely you get another connection to this person, and you get a glimpse of an idea of perhaps how it was 2,000 years ago. And I'm a Catholic, so I grew up here, and I would say yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And
so then, my next question, which you've kind of answered, is: has your spiritual life changed as a result of portraying Jesus?
Of course, every time, I don't know, it's here in Bavaria, you very often find crosses, here, as we saw before, in the mountains, or when you go for a walk. So here in Bavaria, it's called crucifix, and you martyr, you find it on the fields, you find it very often. And I always look on those crosses and look, how does he hang on the cross? So I think you have a different perspective if you've been if you played Jesus before. And of course, every time during Easter time, I have a different connection to those days and to those days when you acted on stage, the last days of Jesus. And yeah, it definitely changes you, and or it changed me in
Yeah, I
playing Jesus.
imagine. So then, before we close this out, are there any tips or things that you'd like to include that I haven't asked you that either travel professionals trying to plot this out for their clients or travelers themselves that want to attend should know about?
Yeah, perhaps if you come to Oberammergau in the Passion Play year or in another year or in next year, I think if you're on the street and if you see someone with long hair and beard, then probably he's a part of the Passion Play. I think just talk to the people. I think they're really happy when you talk to them, and they share their experience, and they perhaps give you an information where you can go, or they talk about their involvement in the Passion Play. And most of the people here in our village, they speak quite good English, and they love to talk about the play and share their experience. They're very proud of it, and I think that is something I can tell you. And of course, in Oberammergau, we have a main road, but if you leave just if you go a few minutes, a few 100 meters aside, you will find beautiful places where you can sit, and where it's not so crowded, or where you find a quiet place to sit and watch. And I think there are a lot of nice places to find in our village.
Yes, it looks wonderful. I'm hoping to find them myself. So then that's the end of my questions. And actually, before I close this out, you are an actor by trade. So when you're not in the Passion Play, you are acting. Do you want to tell us about your current projects and where people might find you on the stage, or at least rehearsing? Because I know you're not doing that right now.
I'm not a professional actor, really.
Oh,
I work in a theater in Munich, but
okay.
I'm doing more PR and marketing. But so we founded like a company 10 years ago, and we do theater production every year here in Oberammergau. Sometimes we do an opera production, and almost every year I'm on stage. Yes, but it's not my regular job. So I'm a I'm a theater person, definitely. And so the whole year I work in a theater right now. Next year, in 1 year, the city of Munich builds a new theater for us with 3 theater rooms.
Oh.
So we have a lot of things to do, and I'm really looking forward into the next year. And now we wanted to do a theater production next year here in the Passion Play Theater, and right now we are not sure if we can do it, because you know, we don't know if we can plan it, because it can happen that it's still not possible to play before 1,000 visitors next year. And so perhaps we have some plans and some ideas, and perhaps we will start them then in February or March.
Okay, good. I hope so. You know why I thought that you do theater? Because if you just Google Frederik Mayet without the Passion Play or without Oberammergau, one of the first pictures is you with a skull, like.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it was 10 years ago. It was there in the year before the Passion Play. We tell the story of how the story I told you before in the beginning, how the Black Plague came to Oberammergau. It's the play about the Black Plague, and this is the story. But we also did in the last year, we did plays about Shakespeare. We did Midsummer Night's Dream. We did a play about biblical plays, also Moses, or about Joseph and his brothers. And so every year, and almost every year, I'm also on stage. And I am a theater person, definitely, and I love acting, but it's not my main job.
Hey, you are a neat guy, and I appreciate your time today. It's taken a while, but I appreciate all the insights that you've given me, and I hope that people listening and viewing will also be motivated to make the effort and get to Oberammergau for 2022, or even in between to see your other productions.
Yeah, Megan, thank you so much having me on your podcast, and it's a big honor, and I really hope to see you in 2 years here in our village.
Hopefully we'll shake actual hands and not just wave.
Yeah. Nice, really.
Well, thank you so much. And if you are listening, this is Megan Chappa of the Travel Radio Podcast saying have a great day.